Gt2 RS.
Nicht dein Ernst. Doch. Dein Ernst.
Ja. Moin Leute, ich bin gerade ein bisschen aufgeregt. Zum einen haben wir da Magnus Walker, aber zum anderen, ich weiß nicht, ob wir den zeigen dürfen, aber wir zeigen einfach mal. Hier ist ein Gt2 RS. Können wir den zeigen, den Gt2 RS? Ja? Okay. Ja, ein Gt2 RS steht hier. Und Magnus Walker im Speedster. Gut, da Magnus Walker jetzt weggefahren ist, erstmal, und ich eigentlich jetzt ein Interview mit ihm mache. Leute, wir haben hier einen Gt2 RS. Komm, lass uns den mal ganz kurz angucken.
Sprachlos, oder?
Ich bin ein bisschen sprachlos, ja. Also 700 PS. Sieht natürlich relativ ähnlich zum Gt3 RS aus, aber es gibt so ein paar Feinheiten wie hinten die Abgasanlage. Und wenn ihr da mal reinguckt, hier vorne sieht man gleich die Klappe. Die ist jetzt hier offen, aber die sitzt gleich hier am Ausgang. Das ist der Ausgang, wenn die Klappe offen ist, und rechts ist der Ausgang, wenn das durch einen Endschalldämpfer geht. Mega viel Carbon, also der Spoiler ist Carbon.
Nicht schlecht.
Ist natürlich auch das weiße Package.
Sexy,
gut,
ja.
das habe ich jetzt nicht mehr gerechnet, dass der da ist. Wir sind hier eigentlich beim Automuseum Prototyp in Hamburg, in der Hafen City. Und wie gesagt, ich mache hier gleich ein Interview mit Magnus. Dafür springen wir da vorne in meinen R8, den ich für diese Woche habe. Denn der gute Herr hat sein Buch auf Deutsch vorgestellt und darüber werden wir so ein bisschen schnacken. Und ich hatte euch vorher auf Instagram gefragt, welche Fragen ihr ihn stellen würdet, und davon werde ich natürlich auch ein paar stellen und die seht ihr dann hier im Interview.
Hey Magnus, nice to meet you.
We already met in Geneva.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What's your name again?
Nico. Hi.
Nico.
Hi.
And this guy?
Hi, Nico. Hi.
Hi, Han. Hi.
Guten Morgen. Morgen.
Morgen, okay, you can already say some.
Hi, sprechen Sie Porsche, ja.
If you want to drive,
Yeah.
then
Yeah, just tell me where to go.
yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
The Audi's pretty nice.
It is, right?
Yeah.
First time in an R8.
Yeah, first time in an RE.
But well, no, it's getting shaky, but it's still okay, right? It's like still a comfortable car. Although
Yeah, I would call this sort of a daily driver.
Yeah.
You know, I think the Lamborghini Huracan's a daily driver. I have a good friend of mine that designs for Lamborghini right now.
Okay.
Into your Borken.
I met him as well in Geneva.
He used to design for Porsche.
Yeah,
So I met him 5 years ago when it was a Porsche. I guess the past 18 months he's been at Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And designed the Urus.
And Terzo Millennio, which is really sick.
They're pretty cool.
So what is your daily drive, or do you drive 911 all the time?
I actually walk to work, so I live very close to where I work, literally quarter of a mile. So
Okay.
I get a lot of steps in walking to work. So I actually don't have a daily driver. Depends where I'm going as to what Porsche I would take.
Okay, so but like it's always Porsche, really?
Yeah, I mean that's all I own, other than a van.
Okay.
I don't own any other make of car.
And you don't own modern Porsche, or do you?
The newest Porsche I own is actually one of my favorites. It's a 04 996 GT3.
So since you got your first Porsche, stop, left. Sorry.
Since I got my first Porsche.
You never changed to any other brand?
No, I'm on other cars. At one time, probably 20 years ago, I had a nice selection of cars. I had a 65 GT3 50R Mustang, a 67 E-Type Jag.
Go there and
Straight?
pick a card, yeah.
So 67 E-Type Jag, 269 Super B Mopar muscle cars. I had a 73 Lotus Europa. I also had a 79 308 GTB Ferrari. This was all at the same time, along with a couple of Porsches. But I realized as great as all those cars were, they weren't as great as the Porsche, and the Porsche excelled at pretty much everything.
Okay.
So, you
just
know,
park there in the top.
I'll find a good spot. We'll take a photo there. So over the past probably 15 years, it's just been purely Porsche.
Okay.
Anyway, it's good.
Yeah.
Just back it in. I'll probably just park it right here.
And you wrote Porsche letter when you were 9, or when was it? 11?
10.
I just read the 10.
10.
Okay.
Yeah, I first fell in love with Porsche as a 10-year-old. My dad took me to the Lynn Hills Court Motor Show in 1977. That story is pretty familiar. I had a poster on the wall of a white Martini Turbo. I wrote a letter to Porsche saying, hey, I'd like to design cars for you. They wrote me a letter back, said, call us when you're older. And then I sort of never gave up on the dream, but couldn't afford a Porsche. Growing up in Sheffield, England, and then I moved to California, Los Angeles, when I was 1986. And then bought my first Porsche in 1992 when I was 25 years old. And that represented for me dream come true. I'd accomplished this vision, the dream, and it also represented freedom, owning my very first Porsche.
Yeah.
And since then I've owned quite a few, but the thrill's never gone away. You know, I'm more passionate about Porsche now than I've ever been.
It's the American dream you kind of fulfilled, or would
Yeah,
you say that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, moving to California, especially Los Angeles, I've been there for 32 years. So I spent 19 years in England, 32 years in LA. So I'm more Americanized than I am English. America's the land of opportunity. LA back in the 80s was sex, drugs, rock and roll. I was into Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue, but also into Americana, Evel Knievel, Dukes of Hazzard, all these American TV shows, Rockford Files, Chips, Starsky and Hutch. They all had cool cars. You know, and obviously American movies, Steve McQueen, Bullitt, the film Le Mans, these were all inspirational, iconic movies that sort of influenced my style. My style when it comes to Porsche is late 60s, early 70s.
It's till 1973 that you collect, right? Or
Well, that was the original goal. The goal now with Porsche is I'm a goal-orientated collector. So the goal now with Porsche is one of everything that Porsche's ever made in a sports car. So that's front engine, mid-engine, rear engine, both air and water-cooled. So 356, the transaxle cars, which is 924, 944, 928, 968. Mid-engined, air and water-cooled, so 914 and Cayman. And then one of every generation of 911. So currently I'm up to perhaps one of my favorite cars, is my 2004 996 GT3 Porsche. That's like a streetable track hot rod car off the factory floor.
Because it's a water cooled already, so that you think that is so good.
Well, it's an iconic car in the sense that it's the first water cooled Porsche.
But normally it's the other way around. Like they prefer the last air cooled.
A lot of Porsche purists tend to think Porsche is just air cooled 911. For me, I like variety. So it doesn't matter whether it's air or water cooled. You know, I just like the variety of driving different Porsches. What's great about the 996 GT3, it's the first GT3 model Porsche made. And it's a streetable track car. You know, it's like a daily, super handling, great on the track, spirited canyon carver car. So that's kind of one of my favorite modern Porsches. But I've been fortunate enough to drive what I call OPP. This is other people's Porsches. These are the iconic supercars I can't afford. For example, 959, Carrera GT, 918. But the great thing about the Porsche world is I always say we all speak Porsche. Doesn't matter whether you speak English, German or Japanese, we all relate to the car. And I've been fortunate enough to travel all over the world and meet some interesting Porsche people that have allowed me to drive their Porsches as well. So you don't always have to own them to experience them, is what I say.
So you also drove a 918, but you didn't own one yet?
No, I mean, I don't have that type of money. And a lot of the Porsches that I've owned, I bought when they were inexpensive. Before they became super popular, like early short wheelbase cars, early 3-litre turbos. Cars that are now sort of quite valuable, but when I was collecting, you know, 5, 10, 15 years ago, certain models were affordable. Because what I always said was great about Porsche compared to Lamborghini or Ferrari was Porsches were the everyday affordable supercar that tended to get driven quite a lot. I'd often say you see a lot of high mileage Porsches, but you don't necessarily see a lot of high mileage Ferraris or Lamborghinis.
Yeah, true.
Because the Porsche was more of the enthusiast driver car, I believe. And so for a long period, Porsches I think were undervalued. And that was why I was able to collect quite a lot of them, because I wasn't spending that much money on them. And I was just buying what I was passionate about and the models that I liked. So that's essentially the Porsche story from 10-year-old up 40 years to, you know, the current day, me being 50 years old.
And that's all in your book, right?
Yeah, there's quite a lot in the book. The book came out last year in England. It's not a Porsche story. It's a story of essentially my life growing up in Sheffield, moving to LA, sex, drugs, rock and roll, forming a fashion line, getting into the clothing business, outfitting bands like Alice Cooper and Motley Crue, buying some property that got us into the film business. Yeah. So for me, the Porsche thing is a hobby. It's not a job. I call it a out of control hobby. I don't build customer cars. I'm not an independent performance tuning shop. I'm just an enthusiast and collector.
But you do tuning, or like you change.
I customize my own cars, yeah.
But I can't come to you with my.
No,
Porsche.
it's like if you said to me, "Hey, I'd really like for you to build me a car." I don't do that. I just build cars for myself, my own way. That way, it's still a hobby and not a job.
But do you eventually sell them, or?
I've sold some. I mean, the last car that I built and sold was 4 years ago. I mean, people ask me quite often to build cars for them, but I enjoy the freedom of being able to travel. And if I was building cars, I'd be stuck in LA trying to make you happy. So the last car that I actually built and sold was 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's.
So it's not it could be a business, but I don't want it to be a business.
Okay, that's when you don't need to have it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my day job is filming. All that stuff is outlined in the book. But I think my relatability is I'm just like a regular guy enjoying life and just trying to make the most out of every moment and try and drive as many different cars as possible, which is why I jumped at the opportunity to drive this Audi R8. So I thank you for that privilege. This is what I call OPC, other people's cars, as opposed to other people's Porsches.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a great experience for me hanging out here with you in Hamburg, driving this Audi R8.
Thank you for coming here and,
my pleasure.
And the opportunity.
Okay, Hamburger Outlaw, take one. Let's get out of the car park first, and then I have a question for you. So here's my question for you. You said you talked a lot about hypercars, tuning and performance. So my question for you is, who's going to be the first car manufacturer to get to 300 miles an hour?
Yeah.
And how important do you think or feel the 300 mile an hour speed market is? How relevant is it? And who's going to be the first there? We know Koenigsegg did what, 277 or 278, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, for example, for Bugatti, it is like a prestige lift. It's like a prestige thing. So a Bugatti is not fast on the racetrack because it weighs 2 tons.
Right, it's heavy.
But their selling point was always, we have the fastest car left now.
But yet they're not the fastest right now.
Koenigsegg is now the fastest, yeah.
And I guess Bugatti was saying Michelin couldn't make a tire that would withstand the heat or the weight, or a combination of heat and weight, right?
Yeah. Well, that's probably one of the biggest problems, right? Like a tire on a Bugatti already costs like 8,000 euros.
Right.
One tire. And well, I think that there are quite some competitors, so Koenigsegg, as you said, but also like Rimac Concept 2. Yeah. That thing is pretty fast with almost 2,000 horsepower from an electric engines.
Got it. Then you got Hennessy, right, with what they're doing.
Right, yeah.
He's going after it. So
I don't think it will be Bugatti in the end, because they just brought out the Chiron,
right,
and it's hard for them to make it even faster, like in that short time of period.
Is that kind of old news as well? It seems like the Veyron's been out a long time, the Chiron's been out about a year. It seems like Koenigsegg's stolen the thunder on the speed already. Yeah. So who's going to be the first to 300 miles an hour? Come on, you got to answer. Don't overthink it. Whoever comes to you.
Electric car, Rimac Concept 2.
So you think Rimac Concept 2? You heard it here first. All right.
What do you say?
How relevant is 300 miles an hour? Because how often do you really get to go 300 miles an hour on the street?
No one who owns that car will ever go that fast.
So it becomes bragging rights?
It's not necessary at all. Like that's why I like the design of the Chiron. But I would
Have you driven it?
No, I haven't. I really would love to, but it's hard to
get. If you guys watching this video, get him in the Chiron, come on. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, please. I really would love to do that. But it's I mean, it's really prestige, and like that's why they can make it so expensive. First it is a Bugatti, and then it's a super fast car, and then it's a W16 engine, which is crazy. But it's not the fastest car on the racetrack, and for me, I think racetrack is more important than going fast. Of course, like most people never will drive any of their super sports car.
So let me ask you this, then. We're talking racetrack. How relevant is the lap record at the Nurburgring? In essence, my question really is, everyone talks about the Nurburgring, but it's an uncontrollable environment in the sense of no two moments are ever the same, let alone 2 days. So we know the new Porsche GT2 RS is 11 seconds quicker around the Nurburgring than the 918. I believe that time is 6 minutes and 47 seconds. Lamborghini might have owned the record.
5 seconds quicker than the Performante.
Yeah, and that only held the record for a month or two.
Yeah.
But my question is, how relevant is the Nürburgring lap time in the sense of no two occasions are ever the same?
It's a marketing thing.
It's almost like you need all the manufacturers there on the same day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need, and all the same driver.
And and then it's a level playing field, right?
Yeah. It's really a marketing thing. In the end, like with that, you know that the cars are all pretty much the same speed.
Yeah.
In the end, you decide not who is quicker, like 2 or 3 seconds. You decide if you want to get a Porsche, if you want to get a Lamborghini.
So it's personal preference.
It's personal preference. It's of course like now GT2 RS is the fastest, but you don't know. Like when McLaren brings the Senna or something, they would probably be faster even than the GT2 RS.
Well, let's talk about the McLaren Senna. We know that debuted in the Geneva Auto Show, right? The Senna seems to be a polarizing car in the sense of you either love it or you hate it. I don't think it's ugly. No, I think it's like an origami sculpture. Now, when I was in Geneva, I drove 2 McLarens. I drove the right-hand drive 570 GT Sport Pack, which had been driven over from England, from Woking to Geneva. And then I also drove the 720S.
Okay.
Both those cars I'd driven in America, and both seem pretty polarizing also. You know, some people really prefer the 720S, but I was staying in Geneva, and the 570 was parked outside the hotel next to the 720, and more people preferred the 570 ship.
Really?
So I guess it's interesting, really. What do you prefer?
Well, I didn't drive the 570 yet, but I drove the 720, and it's so precise and it lacks kind of emotion, you know?
Yeah. It's like a very fast appliance.
Yeah, you kick down the gas pedal and you wonder when you will hit 100 km/h, but you are already at like 200 or something. Because you don't feel the speed.
Right.
But I mean, I would drive a McLaren.
Yeah, I like them. I find them real easy to drive.
Exactly.
Real fast, real nimble.
They are really daily usable. Like the 720S with the surround camera. It's really nice to get in there. It's a beautiful car. You have a lot of luggage space. Like really these stupid daily driving things.
Let me tell you a flip side to that story. I spent 3-4 days with the 720S in New York City.
Okay.
Have you been to New York?
Yes.
So you know New York roads, right? Potholes, and you know New York parking garages.
Yeah.
So the challenge with the 720S, and probably this is what I call a first world problem that would only happen in New York City, but the parking garages in New York are stacked lifts. You can't get out of the 720S with the flip door because the roof of the parking structure is not high enough. So I guess most people that own a McLaren 720S in New York probably have their own garage. But for me, parking it in a public car park, it was a pain because every time you got to lift the nose to get in, and then when you pull into the park car structure with the roof above you, you couldn't get the door high enough to get out without hitting the ramp of the platform above.
So how did you get out?
What you had to do was basically just not park the car fully in and squeeze out sort of awkwardly because you couldn't open the door fully. That was how I got out the 720S in New York City. But other than that, it was a great car. I actually got a speeding ticket in New York City, well, on the way to Coney Island, Brooklyn, in a 720S McLaren. So that's my McLaren story.
Then you know it's fast.
Yeah, I've driven one in LA, I've driven one in New York, and I've driven one in Geneva. So I'm a Porsche guy, but I'm a McLaren fan as well. So, what was a poster you had on the wall as a kid in your bedroom? What car was it?
Well, I didn't have, like, I'm a techie, so I didn't have anything on the walls.
I had Bill Gates.
Yeah, I had a wallpaper on my desktop. And that was for a long time, it was always the Porsche Cayman when it came out.
Okay. One of my favorites is the Cayman GT4.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the new one, which will come out at the end of the year or something. And it will be 718 based.
Yeah.
But the engine, that will be exciting. That will be naturally aspirated or turbocharged. But I really loved the Cayman because it was like the cheaper Porsche and it felt more affordable for me.
It's actually a great driving car.
It is. I always say that. I was in Malaga. I drove the GTS Cayman and Boxster.
Yeah.
And I really love it. I feel like I understand why people want to get a 911 the same way I wanted to have it, because it is the Porsche. But like for driving, I feel like the Cayman feels nowadays better because it's more agile.
Yeah.
It's more sporty than like a Porsche 911, which is a little bit more focused on being a good daily driver.
So my buddy Sharkworks, hey Alex, out in San Jose, California, these guys make things go faster and sound better, and they're famous for making GT2s and GT3s, RSs, and making them sound better and go faster. But they did a great thing with the GT4. They re-geared it. Okay. So they shortened everything above second gear, lightened flywheel, and sport exhaust. And they're currently working on a 4.2 litre motor for a Cayman GT4. Sort of like a Cayman GT 4.2 RS. And that was one of my...
Turbocharged then?
No, aspirated actually, high revving, yeah. Same motor that they put in their 4.2 litre GT3, which is just awesome. I mean, a lot more torque and bottom end mid-range power delivery.
Right.
So look out for that. The Sharkworks Cayman GT4.
Okay.
Awesome car. I probably drove that car like 3,000 miles.
I guess that's the next meeting, but can we drive it around?
Sure, of course you can.
I think my buddy's there. Okay. So I actually asked on Instagram if they have any questions.
Yeah, you guys out there got any questions? Let me know. Beard grooming advice.
Yeah, that was actually a question of mine. When did you last shave it?
I haven't shaved since 2000. I've had the beard for 18 years. So I've had the beard a long time.
But before that, you didn't have a beard?
No, I up until 2000, no beard. So
okay.
Beard came
pictures from that
2000, but that's 18 years ago, you know. So.
Okay, so will you do another outlaw gathering in Hamburg?
Probably, yeah. I mean, the one at the fish market last year was one of the best ones that I'd ever done.
When you could only own one Porsche, would be probably the GT3?
It'd probably be 277. You know, my 71 911T. That's the car I'm most associated with. That's the one that I carry around in my pocket all the time with me.
The key?
Well, it's the key to happiness. It's that one right there. This is the one that's gone around the world. It's like my lucky charm. It goes to every city.
Yeah, but we know that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the one, 277.
Of the modern Porsches, what would you get?
Probably that one right there, the
GT2?
GT2 RS, the new one. Or, you know, the Sharkworks Cayman GT4, but I'm itching to go drive that 991 GT2 RS right there. So that's
You're going to drive that?
Hope so.
Lucky.
You should make a video on that car.
That thing is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Magnus. That was amazing.
Thanks to all you guys. I appreciate your time and support. Let's get out and drive, pedal to the metal. Cheers and rock on.
Bye.
Ciao. Cool.
Thank you
Super
very
mega.
much.
I find Hamburg a fascinating city. I'm a water sign, so I'm sort of drawn to water.
Yeah.
And Hamburg reminds me a little bit of East London in the sense of, you know, right by the water, cool old dock warehouse buildings.
2 minutes.
Hey, can I get a photo with you? A photo, real quick? Made some friends with the local police.
Yes. Oh, and he... What's his thing?
Was ist das?
Hi.
Moin Nico, ich kenne dich ein bisschen von YouTube.
Hi.
Ich habe da ein Video gesehen, wie du da in Italien mit deinem Lambo rumfährst und so. Ich wollte fragen, ob ich mit dir vielleicht ein Selfie machen kann.
Ja, ja.
Bevor die Polizei wieder meldet.
Ja, die Polizei. I have to take a picture.
Schönen Tag heute noch, ne?
Danke, ebenso.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Wiedersehen. You are a popular guy.
That happens once in a... Yeah, it doesn't happen too often.